Hello, my name is Carla Pareja, and I am the Procurement Analyst at California Arts Council. I am going to briefly go over the attachment forms or required forms for the RFP 24-005 Creative Economy Regional Partners. For this RFP, there will be a total of 16 attachments. The first attachment is called Attachment 1, Required Attachments and Mandatory Business Doc Checklist. I am now screen sharing this document. This checklist serves the interested bidder a list of all the required forms that a bidder may need to submit with their bid package. So the first one on the list is Attachment 1, Required Attachments and Mandatory Business Document Checklist. You must include this checklist, put the bidder name at the top, check mark all the forms that you included with your bid package. If it doesn't apply to you, then you simply put NA or non-applicable. Attachment 2 is called Region Preferences Form. Attachment 3 is called Bidder Proposal Certification Sheet. Attachment 4 is called Bidder Declaration. Attachment 5 is DVBE Participation Incentive Form. Attachment 6 is Confidentiality Statement. Attachment 7 is Cost Proposal Worksheet and must be submitted in Excel. Attachment 8 is DARFA Contracting Act. Attachment 9 is Individual and Sole Proprietor. If applicable to you, if the bidder does not have any employees, you would be using Attachment 9. However, if you do have employees, then you will be using Attachment 10, Workers' Compensation Certification. If you don't have any employees, then you use Attachment 9. Attachment 11, Payee Data Record. Attachment 12, Contractor Certification Clauses. Attachment 13 is Gen AI Notification Clause and Reporting. This is where you report any use of Gen AI in regards to this solicitation or the work that is being asked to be done for this agreement. Attachment 14 is DGS PD 843 DVBE Declaration. This form is only needed if the bidder is a DVBE or if the bidder is planning to use a DVBE subcontractor. And DVBE stands for Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise. If you are planning to use a DVBE subcontractor or contractors, then you will need to also include Attachment 15, the confirmation letter form. And the prime contractor will need to fill this out for each DVBE subcontractor. So, for example, if you are using one DVBE subcontractor, then you'll only need to submit one confirmation letter. But if you are using multiple DVBE subcontractors, then you will need to submit multiple confirmation letter forms for each respective subcontractor. The Attachment 16 is not a form. It's an evaluation plan and scoring rubric. This is for the bidder's reference only. And it will show you how the review panel will be, the evaluation plan and what the review panel will be looking at and how your bid proposal will be evaluated. Attachment 17 is Prime Contractor Certification, DVBE Subcontractor. So this is for awarded bidders only. So if the awarded bidder is using a DVB's prime contractor, then this report will be required from the bidder upon completion of the contract. And attachment 18 is the form that we use for the awarded bidder to sign to execute a contract with the state of California. So the second page of this list includes required mandatory business documents. A lot of the situation here is if it's applicable to you. So if you are a small California certified small business, you must include a copy of your certification. If the prime bidder is a DVBE, you must also include a copy of your certification. If the bidder is planning to use a subcontractor that is a small business, then you must also include the small business certification for the subcontractor or contractors. And then if the prime bidder is planning to use DVBE subcontractors, then you will also need to include a copy of their DVBE certificate. In some cases, so depending on your business entity type, you may need to be registered with the California Secretary of State. So please the bidders will are solely responsible for doing the research to ensure that you are either registered, and if you don't need to be registered, then that's fine too. Again, it's registration with the Secretary of State is if applicable. We recommend for the interested bidders to visit their website, which is www.sos.ca.gov, and it will outline all the business entity types that will need to be registered with the California Secretary of State. If you are a nonprofit bidder, we will need a copy of your IRS designation letter showing your organization has the 501c3 federal tax exempt status. If the bidder is a joint powers of agreement, we will also need a copy of the agreement. If the bidder needs a business license or business tax certificate, again, this depends. If your business entity type needs a business license, we recommend reaching out to your local government, your city or county, to see if your business needs a business license or a business tax certificate. If the bidder, a copy of the bidder's liability insurance coverage, and then other business documents as needed for the bidder's business entity type. Okay. Your proposal package must also include, for this particular RFP, Creative Economy Regional Engagement Partners, it will need to include a project narrative, team description, capacity and experience, cost proposal worksheet in Excel, and if you are planning to apply for multiple regions, you will need to submit multiple cost proposal worksheets in Excel. And then references. Okay. So if you're asking yourself, do I need to submit these forms, these attachment/forms, and these mandatory business documents multiple times if I'm planning to submit a bid for multiple regions? The question is no. You don't need to do that. You only need to submit it one time. However, if you are planning to submit for multiple regions, then you will need to submit multiple cost proposal worksheet. And you must use the attached cost proposal worksheet that's included with the Cali Procure posting. And that is a template that you must use in order for your cost proposals to be assessed. Okay. If you're not using that cost proposal template, either you will be deemed non-responsive or you'll receive zero cost proposal points. Okay. So your bid proposal package must be submitted in PDF format, except for the cost proposal, which must be in Excel. Okay. So I am going to go over attachment 2. Attachment 2 is called Region Preferences Form. So this form is for the bidder who's interested, is for the bidder to indicate which region you are interested in bidding for. So for example, if you are interested in bidding for Region 1, upstate, then you indicate with an X. And if you're only wanting that region, that's fine. However, if you are interested in applying for multiple regions, then you can indicate that with an X, for example. So bidders mark X next to each region you want to service. And then also rank your preferred regions, if any, otherwise leave blank. So if you have any preference, please let us know. But if you don't have a preference, you can leave blank. So for example, you're applying for these 3 regions, Region 1, Region 3, Region 5. You're like, well, you know what? We really prefer Central Coast. That's like our first pick. And then our second pick would be Region 1, upstate, because we really have connections there. We've worked there before. We're very familiar with these regions and its constituents. So, and then Bay Area would be your third. So this will help California Arts Council, the evaluation committee, to determine, to help us determine which is your preferred region. And this could help us place a bidder into a region if we need to do that. Okay, and this form also includes a map, so you can see which regions cover which areas they cover. Right. So this form is very important. Please make sure you include your bidder name. For example, contractor ABC Consulting. Okay. Okay. Right. The bidder/proposer certification form, this, which is attachment 3, this form is required for all bidders. All you need to do is fill it out, make sure it's signed, dated, and all the pertinent information is included. Attachment 4, bidder declaration. This is where the bidder fills out and indicates whether they are a micro business, a small business, or DVBE. If you're none of these, then you want to click none. If you are going to be using subcontractors, this is where you also indicate yes or no. And if you are a DVBE, are you a broker? You answer yes or no. If the contract includes equipment rental, does your company own at least 51% of the equipment? And for this particular work, an equipment rental is most likely not going to be needed. So that's an NA. If you are planning to use a subcontractor, then this is where you list all your subcontractors. So you are using you want to use subcontractor, you are using a subcontractor. So you put down the name, first name, last name, their phone numbers, their email. For example, or the name of their company, ABC Consulting. Okay, this is the address. This is where you put their address, 222 Ancient Road, Suite 200, Los Angeles, California. And if they are a DBBE and SB, and if they're not, you just leave blank, none. But if they are, then you put down, you indicate what, and the work that they will be doing, okay? Explain the work that they will be doing and the corresponding percent of the bid price. So for this particular one, let's say you are for this particular region, for this particular work, you are going to be using, you're applying for three regions. So that is the max amount is 21,750 times 3. That's 62,250. So out of the 62,250, which is for 3 regions, you want to, this person is going to be given 0.35% of the work. So you put down 35%. Okay. I mean, are they in good standing? If you don't know that, then you don't need to indicate. If there's a 51% rental needed, and if that's not the case, then you just leave it blank, for example. So this is where you list all the subcontractors you'll be, the prime bidder will be using. And then if you are using a second subcontractor, then you also include their information. If you're using more than 3, then you may need additional pages. So once you additional pages, and you need to attach it with this form or include it with your bid proposal. And then you will need to put down your name of the business. So AB, I don't know, ZYX Consulting, and whoever the authorized John Doe, and then sign, and then the date. Okay. Please fill this form out as clearly and as completely as much as possible. There are instructions included on page 2. Attachment 5 is called DVBE Participation Incentive Form. So the bidders will also need to submit this form. And if you are participating in a DVBE, then you click yes, but if not, then you select no. Okay, so you can be if you are a DVBE bidder, then obviously you are going to be if you want to participate, you will be participating. Then you click yes, and then you also indicate which method and you'll be participating. Are you a California certified DVBE bidder, or are you going to be participating under method B, which is a non-DVBE bidder? So so you indicate which methods you'll be using, and then also indicate the percentage of your participation, and then fill out the name of the authorized representative, sign, and date. Let's see. Attachment 6 is a confidentiality statement that's very straightforward. All you need to do is read it, sign it, date it, and include all the information that's being asked of you in this form. The cost proposal worksheet. So I'm going to go over that briefly. This is in Excel. So for this particular RFP, you can see here, this is the template that we provided our bidders. And if you are, and here at the top, indicate which region. So you basically just type 1, or if you put down 4, or you put down 1, 3, 1, and then let's say you're applying for region 1, right? And then you basically do a breakdown of the information of the personnel and the title, the hours, and the rate that they'll be charging, other overhead fringe benefits, overhead rates, and then the travel cost, any equipment supplies, which is must be itemized, and it's up to $1,000, and other direct costs, which must be itemized as well. And then basically you total it up. Right? And then if you are applying for a second region, let's say region 3, you just indicate up here next to region number 3, and you basically do a breakdown of the information again. Okay. And if you are applying for a third region, sorry, let's say region 5, you indicate again which region, and then a breakdown of your cost. Okay. And then if you want to do a fourth region, there you go. You just fill out a fourth cost proposal worksheet. However, if you are applying for a fifth region, then all you need to do is create a copy. Okay. Please rename it to say 5, and then put down which region it's for, so on and so forth. Okay. So this is the cost proposal template that all the bidders must use. I'm deleting the what we filled in. This is the cost proposal worksheet that all bidders must use. This is the template. All your cost proposal must be on this format, must be an Excel spreadsheet. It's very important. So that's why we included this template for the bidders. Let's see. For Attachment 8, Darfur Contracting Act. In most cases, this doesn't apply to all businesses. However, as a state agency, we are required to still ask all bidders who are applying for an RFP or submitting a bid for an RFP. So if your company has not within the previous 3 years had any business activities or other operations outside of the United States, you do not need to complete this form. You can just basically leave it blank. So on the attachment 1, next to attachment 8, you could put down NA, non-applicable. However, if your business, option 1, if your business is not scrutinized company, and you know this, you need to fill out the information here, print your vendor name, an authorized signature, the authorizing signature printed name, your federal ID and date. However, if option 2 applies to you, you will need to get a copy of the written permission from DGS, and that written permission from DGS must be included with your bid package. Again, in most cases, bidders are either this one here at the top, where you have not done operations outside of the United States for at least the past 3 years, or the the bidder is not a scrutinized company or organization. So for the most cases, it's either one of these. However, in the rare occasion that option 2 applies to you, then you will need to fill out this section. And again, you will need to get a copy of the written permission from DGS. And that needs to be included with your bid package. Okay, let's see. So I'm not going to go over each form. Because for the most part, they are self-explanatory. So I will go over the attachment 13 Gen AI notification clause and reporting. So this form here includes all the information, California regulations and procurement codes and laws in regards to Gen AI, notification, clause, and reporting. So bidders are required, let me highlight this bit. Bidders or offerers must notify the state in writing if it, 1, intends to provide Gen AI as a deliverable to the state, or 2, intends to utilize Gen AI, including Gen AI from third parties, to complete all or a portion of any deliverable that materially impacts 1, functionality of the state system, 2, risk the state or contract performance. Okay. For any avoidance of doubt, the term materially impact shall have the meaning set forth in the state administrative manual. Failure to report Gen AI to the state may result in a disqualification. The state reserves the right to seek any and all relief to which it may be entitled to as a result of such non-disclosure. Okay. So the bidders can read this entire form at your leisure. And here is a definition of Gen AI. This is how the state just defines Gen AI, and this is the government code. So on page 3 of this form, the bidder must indicate whether will the bidder be using Gen AI technologies to complete any part of the proposed work under the solicitation. If it's a no, you just click no, and then you skip all the way to the bottom and fill out this part. Name of your company, ZYX Consulting, for example, name, John Doe, signature of John Doe, the title, deputy director, for example. Okay, so that's what you do. You fill it out, you date it. Okay. However, if you are using some form of Gen AI technologies, then you want to click yes, and you can respond to these questions. So if yes, please provide a description of which task or deliverables will involve Gen AI, and you could just type here. Okay. If your explanation does not fit in this space right here, you may need to attach an additional form. Same thing for question 3. If yes, please provide the specific Gen AI tools or platforms the bidder will be using. Include all the information. If yes, how will the bidder ensure the accuracy, quality, and integrity of the work? Provide explanations. And number 5, if yes, what measures will the bidder be taking to address potential data privacy, intellectual property, and ethical considerations? Okay. Again, once you filled out this form, you just need to sign, date, make sure you include all the information that this form is being asked of you. All right. Let's see. Attachment 14, the DGS PD 843 DBB declarations form. I'll go over that. So this form is a little bit more involved. There's a lot more information that's going to be asked of the bidder if you are a DVBE. Please follow the instructions. There's instructions here, and fill out the areas the best you can. Include all the information that applies to you, and then sign. Please read this form carefully. Make sure that you fill out as thoroughly and completely and accurately as much as you can. And if you are using a DVBE subcontractor, you will need to complete attachment 15, confirmation letter, DVBE subcontractor. Submit a written confirmation letter for each DVBE subcontractor identified in your bidder declaration DGS PD-05-105. Okay, so you need to complete your company name, the name of the DVBE subcontractor, the terms, how long would their services be, and the work and deliverables that they will be performing. So complete details of all of that, and then the anticipated dates they will perform the required work. Okay, the rates, the conditions of payment. So are they going to be paid monthly, quarterly, or at the end of the contract, and then a total amount to be paid to the DVBE subcontractor. Okay, and then the bidder must sign, and then the DVBE subcontractor must also sign here as well. So both signatures are needed from both parties. Say the primary bidder and then the subcontractor, the DVBE subcontractor. I will briefly be going over the attachment 16, evaluation plan and scoring rubric. This is the evaluation plan that our reviewing committee will be using to review all bid proposals received. So this is the summary. So there's going to be an administrative, there's 3 phases: administrative, which will not be scored. It will just be pass or fail. And then if the bidder pass, then that bidder will proceed to phase 2, which is the technical phase. And this is where the evaluation committee will be using a scoring rubric. So the maximum points for this phase is 170 points per evaluator. So for example, if there are 3 evaluators and the maximum points for this phase is 170, then the total maximum points that a given bidder will receive is up to 510 maximum points. Okay, and it will be an aggregate. And then there's phase 3, which is cost, and this is based only on a cost points formula. Okay. Let me enlarge this so that's easier for you to view. So the formula is written here. So within parentheses, lowest cost proposal, divide by bidder's cost proposal times the maximum points. For phase 3, the maximum points is 30. So the responsible bidder with the lowest cost proposal will automatically receive the maximum points of 30. The other bidders will be based on this formula right here. Okay. So again, the maximum points for phase 3 is 30 points. So 510 plus 30 is 540 max points. And then we will have the initial ranking. So first place, second place, third place. And if the bidder is a small business or is planning to use a small business subcontractor, we will apply the preference points. If the bidder is a DVBE and is planning to participate, we will indicate the percentage in which they've indicated they will participate and then apply the incentive points. Again, if the bidder participates or is a small business. And then the score will be adjusted and it will show the final score and then the final ranking. Okay. So administrative 1, this is an outline of administrative 1 to give you an idea. The bidders need to ensure that all these forms that are required of you, that are applicable to you, must be included with your bid package. Otherwise, if not, then it will be noted. Okay. So all bidders must submit attachment 1, attachment 2, attachment 3, attachment 4, attachment 5, attachment 6, attachment 7, attachment 8. You may not actually need to submit it, but in your attachment 1, you want to indicate NA, non-applicable. Okay. Attachment 9 is one of those, if applicable. Okay. If you are a individual or sole proprietor, meaning you don't have any employees, then this is the form you will use, attachment 9. However, if you are an organization and you have an employee or employees, then you will be using attachment 10 and not 9. So for example, if you have employees, you'll be using attachment 10. And for attachment 9, you won't need to submit attachment 9 because we'll know that 9 doesn't apply to you. The reviewer will know that the 9 doesn't apply to you because you're using attachment 10. Okay, so either of these forms will apply to the bidder. So make sure that you read carefully. If applicable or have no employees, attachment 9. Attachment 10, if applicable, or if you have employee or an employees, then you'll need attachment 10. Okay. Attachment 11 is required. There's no if applicable. Attachment 12, contractor certification clauses, that's required. Attachment 13, attachment 13, Gen AI notification clause and reporting, that's required. Attachment 14, again, if this applies to you. Okay. Attachment 15, again, if this applies to you. If it doesn't apply to you, then you simply indicate NA on the attachment 1, and there's no need to submit this form because it doesn't apply to you. And attachment 16, evaluation plan scoring rubric, you don't need to submit that because this is for bidder reference only. Same thing with attachment 17 and attachment 18. Attachment 17, again, if it applies to the winning bidder, and if they're a DVBE, if the prime contractor or the bidder is going to be using a DVBE subcontractor, then they will need to submit and complete a SCD 817, and will furnish this form to the prime contractor when the time comes. And then attachment 18. This is the standard agreement, SCD 213. This is the form that we will be giving to the awarded bidder if they win the award, or they have the highest points, then they win the award, and then we'll give this form to you, and this is to execute a contract with you. Okay. Again, I've gone over this earlier. Small business certificate, DVBE certificate. If your subcontractor is a small business or a DVBE, if this applies to you, Okay. If the prime bidder, if it applies to you, you may need to register with the Secretary of State. Please go to www.sos.ca.gov. It will have complete details as to whether a business entity type will need to register with the Secretary of State. So, and these are things that the evaluation committee will be confirming as well during this time. If you're a nonprofit, we will need an IRS designation letter, or a document that shows that the 501 you have a 501c3 designation and your federally tax exempt status. If you're a joint powers of agreement, we need a copy of that. Copy of the bidder's business license or business tax certificate. Again, if this applies to you, please contact with your local city or county, wherever you are doing business or where your business is located. And insurance, okay, and other business documents that a bidder's business entity might need. Okay, so again, if these business documents apply to you, they must not be expired, they must be active. Right. Okay, for RFP-24-004, regional engagement partners, you will need to include with your bid package a project narrative, team description, capacity and experience, cost proposal. If you are applying for multiple regions, you will need to submit multiple cost proposal worksheets and then references. Okay. So the question here is, at the end of the culmination of this phase one, all required attachments, forms, business documents, if applicable, and proposal requirements as outlined in the solicitation were submitted in good order with the bid package. That's a question that the committee will be asking. Yes or no, and or bidder passes all due diligence checks, yes or no. So there's a lot of review that will be happening during this time. And if the answers to both questions are yes, then the bidder passes phase one and will go to phase two. If the bidder does not pass phase one, if the answer is no to either one of these questions, then there's a huge possibility that the bidder will not pass and will fail and will not proceed to phase two. So other verifications, and this is the kind of gives the bidder an idea of what the panel or the reviewers will be about conducting, any due diligence the California Arts Council will be conducting. Just going to give you an idea. California Arts Council may, at its sole discretion, perform further due diligence, verification, or independent research on bidders as may be deemed necessary to ensure compliance and to support comprehensive evaluation process to assess the bidder's qualifications and capacity to perform the work proposed. So phase two, this is the scoring rubric. Interested parties, please make sure that you review this. I'm not going to go in full detail. And then phase three, this is the cost. Okay. So the bidder that is that receives the highest points will be awarded the contract. Okay. So this is for the RFP-24-004 regional engagement partners. So I'm going to briefly go over the forms for RFP-24-006. Okay. The forms are pretty much the same. I'm not going to go in full detail. The forms will be the same. The only difference really is that for the strategic communications RFP, the region preferences forms will not be asked because we're not going to ask the bidder to indicate their preferred region. So that's the form that is missing from that list of attachments/forms. But everything else is, for the most part, for the same. Oh, actually, you know what? Another one, the cost proposal. So for this particular RFP, the bidder will only need to submit one cost proposal, and it shouldn't exceed 76,000. Okay, but the template is set up the same, exactly the same, except some of the details are different. Okay, so all bidders must submit it must use this cost proposal worksheet, attachment 6, cost proposal worksheet, include all the information that is necessary that is being asked of you, and the cost proposal worksheet must be submitted in Excel, and everything else is in PDF. Okay, so that completes our webinar to go over the required attachments/forms, the mandatory business documents, and the verifications that the panels will be looking through, and the evaluation and the scoring rubric that the evaluation team will be using. I will briefly also go over the Cali Procure website, where you can find all this information. Please bear with me. The website is a little bit slow. Right. So this is the Cali Procure website. For other departments, you can search the number using 8260. That is the unique business unit or agency number assigned to California Arts Council. And you can search, and it will show these 3 results. Currently, we have Native American and Indigenous artists that the bid proposal for that deadline has already passed. And these are the current ones. The last 2, 006 and 005, are due on Monday, May 26th by 5 p.m. So these are the ones that I went over in this recording. So let's look at 005, regional engagement partners. Let's click on that. And it will lead you to the landing page. This is the landing page for this RFP. It shows here when the bid package or bid proposals are due. There are multiple awards. You could be potentially awarding up to 8 unique vendors. For each region, the budget is $21,750. If you're applying for multiple regions, then that could go up. So if you're multiplying for 3 regions, then that's potentially 21,750 times 3. Okay, this is my contact information. And you want to click on View Event Package. This is where this is all the attachments. If there are any changes to this RFP, it will be via an addendum. Here, we had an addendum 1, and these are FAQs, frequently asked questions. Okay. Let's look at 006, Strategic Communications Partner. Same thing, the bid package is due on the 26th by 5 p.m. The maximum budget is $76,000, all included, and my contact information. To look at the event package, you click on View Event Package and it has all the attachments that's needed. I highly recommend you reading the RFP details very carefully and thoroughly. Oops, sorry about that. It just automatically magnified. So I've reduced the magnification. As you can see, the forms are the same. The change is there's less attachment here because we do not need for the bidders to submit a region preference form, but the forms are the same. And in this case, the bidder will need to submit only one cost proposal. Okay. But it also needs to be in Excel, but everything else needs to be in PDF. Okay. If there are any issues to this website whatsoever, you want to click on Help, Contact Us. And this is the organization that oversees Kelly Procure. This is their information. Please plan ahead. It's very important to plan ahead. As you can see here, they're only available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, not including state holidays. They do say they reserve the right to respond up to 24 hours, potentially even more, especially with year end. And around this time, May, June, July is year end for the state of California. Okay. So this is their, if you have issues with this website, this is who you need to contact. California Arts Council does not administer this website at all. We have no control over this website. This is just a centralized location in which where all state agencies in California are required to post AMI RFP opportunities. Okay. Right, I will stop sharing. Well, thank you so much for your patience and for listening through this webinar. I hope it was informative and useful, and I wish you all the best. And we look forward to receiving your bid package. Thank you, and have a nice day.